Get ready to embrace debate. First Take starts now.
Coming up on the First Take podcast, are LeBron and the Cavs winning despite their coach? Plus, will the Warriors and Hawks get a win tonight? And will past issues for the Patriots hurt Tom Brady's reputation? The First Take podcast starts right now. A weekend of buzzer beaters for everyone. Good morning. Welcome to First Take. Kerry Champion here with Skip Bayless to my left and Stephen A. Smith to my right.
Welcome back. How are you?
What's going on?
Good to see you.
How are you?
Busy weekend, but
I know. How was LA?
weekend.
The weather was
You were
nice?
everywhere.
The weather was actually better out east than it was in LA.
Oh, shocking.
And I got to Chicago Saturday night, and it felt like it was about 30.
Oh, my God. All right. So we
So
got
actually being on the East Coast actually feels warmer for a change.
we beat them in one thing this weekend. All right, so again, as mentioned, it's a weekend of buzzer beaters. It's the postseason, so let's begin right there. It was LeBron's third career postseason game-winning buzzer beater. He is the only player in the last 15 seasons with 3 postseason game-winning buzzer beaters. LeBron watched his coach draw up the final play, and then he threw it out. Draining a jumper from the corner, as you can see, to give them the win, 86-84. The series now tied at 2-all. So, Skip Bayless, how impressed were you with what you saw?
Stephen A. Smith, I was extremely impressed with not just the buzzer beater, but I was extremely impressed with LeBron's last 2 plays in that game because, number one, LeBron James had the guts to drive the length of the floor on Jimmy Butler, drive the ball to the basket, and risk knowing full well that he might have to shoot those free throws to win the basketball games. And we know that in his past, he has had problems late in games making free throws to win or lose basketball games, as we saw earlier this year at Houston late in the overtime in that game when he missed the 2 to win the basketball game. This time, he did get fouled on that drive. Body fouled by Joakim Noah, but they did not call that foul. And guess what happened? LeBron was mad about it. And LeBron already was mad about what, by his standards, had been an abysmal game. As he said, mistake after mistake after mistake, as I quote him, that he had just made, including, of course, the 2 offensive fouls that he committed in the last minute and 13 seconds of that game. And then he got mad at his coach for calling a play in the timeout huddle with, 0.8 seconds left, for LeBron to inbounds the ball instead of being able to catch the ball and shoot the ball. And by the way, in Blatt's defense, to that point in the game, LeBron was 9 for 29, and in the series he was 2 for 19 from 3. And obviously J.R. Smith had been crazy hot earlier in the fourth quarter, and I don't know, maybe Blatt was thinking, maybe we want J.R. to shoot this shot. But LeBron said, no, give me the ball and basically get out of my way. And I've said this many, many times on this show. I love it when LeBron gets mad. I hate it when LeBron gets that tight-faced, tentative look in his eyes, like, uh-oh, what am I going to do wrong now? Like, whatever will go wrong, whatever could go wrong, will go wrong. And this time, to his benefit, he had no time to think about this play. This is catch it, go up, and shoot it like you mean it. And he did he shoot it like he meant it ever? It was a beautiful shot. It made up for all of his blunders, all of his cold shooting earlier in this game and this series. It was the shot that turned around this series, and I just want to say, way to go, LeBron James.
I was impressed, no question about it. I wasn't really surprised. I suspected that the minute that it went from 0.8 seconds to 1.5 seconds left on the shot clock, that additional 0.7 seconds was going to be enough time for you to call a play and get an additional and get a good shot. And obviously, I'm thinking somebody like a LeBron or a J.R. Smith, who had drained 3 3-pointers in the fourth quarter, was going to be the one to close the deal. For me, there were a bevy of errors though, and it kind of turned me off. Like, for example, Tyronn Lue may have saved the season. I mean, with about 8.4 seconds left when Chicago had tied the game, for David Blatt, who I like, and I think that, a lot of people have been entirely too hard on him because he's never coached in the NBA before. He was coaching in Israel. You got people, they talk about his arrogance, they talk about a lot of things, which may very well have validity to it. I'm not saying that they're wrong, but he seems to be an incredibly nice guy, knowledgeable about the game of basketball, just not the NBA brand of basketball. He's a novice. He's a rookie on this level. But to be in a position where you were going to call a timeout when you had nothing left, to pull a Chris Webber, Webber. Chris Webber was 19 years old, as Mike Greenberg pointed out when that happened. You're the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA. You've got to know better. And he's lucky that the officials didn't catch that. I also thought it was incredibly egregious on this part. I don't give a damn how LeBron James was shooting. You at the very least, you use him as a decoy. What you don't do, particularly with that minimal amount of time where you know all you're going to have a chance to do is catch and shoot, you don't have LeBron James inbounding the basketball.
Although, wouldn't you agree he's the best passer on the team?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he's the franchise. He's the man. And when you consider the fact that Kevin Love is hurt, that Kyrie Irving is in the midst of a 2 for 10 shooting performance because that foot is just killing him. He's working through it. And by the way, from what I'm told, Kobe is somebody that's been in Kyrie's head. He's been consulting him throughout these playoffs, been consulting him in the season. Kobe likes this kid a lot and is doing a lot of good things for the psyche of a Kyrie. Kyrie's he's a cold assassin to begin with.
Consulting him about injuries or
just everything, psyche, everything, whatever it takes to win. Kobe is counseling this young brother, and that explains why Kyrie, it doesn't matter how bad a game he's having, he's always a legit threat because he's cold. But in the end, I have to give LeBron credit where credit is due because all of this stuff about how he called off a play and that happens all the time. It's happened on many, many occasions. It's no big deal. And it's not like he sat up there and just totally disregarded the coach in terms of going behind his back. He said, no, we're not doing that. I don't want to hear that. You get me the ball. And that's exactly how he should have. When you're the franchise, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what he did. I give him a lot of credit for it, and he delivered.
Can you blame Blatt, though, for thinking, my guy is cold. He's 9 for 29. He's 2 for 19 from 3. Do I want him catching and shooting the ball, or do I want him finding the open shooter?
Yes, here's why I can blame him. I can blame him because of the amount of time left on the shot clock and the fact that you had him inbounding the ball. Now, if you had somebody inbounding the ball, but the play wasn't called for LeBron, and LeBron was supposed to be a decoy so J.R. Smith can get open, that would be different. But to have him inbounding the ball with that amount of time left on the game clock basically shows that you had no intentions whatsoever of him even being involved in the last shot.
Right.
That is insane. That's not what you do with your franchise player. If nothing else, you use him as a decoy so a guy like J.R. Smith, who's been doing this thing, can come in there and drain a shot for you. You can lose LeBron because LeBron's going to require you, even though he didn't in that case because Jimmy Butler was on him and he pushed off on Jimmy Butler and got loose in the left corner. In most situations, a guy like LeBron would be double. But at the very least, you use him for a decoy. You don't use him to inbound the ball. That's insanity.
Okay, so if the bridge was on fire between LeBron and Blatt, if he had little respect for Blatt, is it down to zero respect and the bridge is burned?
I don't think it's fair to talk about LeBron and Blatt. I think it's more fair to talk about the entire team and Blatt. There are some question marks about Blatt from the entire team. Now, again, I'm on the record. I like the guy. I think the guy's been given a bad rap because most of the mistakes he's made this season are relatively predictable for a first-year coach. I think David Griffin has done a good job as the general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I will say to you that the respect that you need to have as a coach from your players, it's not very evident. It's not very conspicuous on the part of the players on Cleveland's squad. Now, does that mean they're going to sit there and they dislike the guy? And of course not. But does it mean that if the Cleveland Cavaliers decided to make a change that people would be in an uproar? Not a soul. Not a soul.
Okay. Yeah, well, then we move it there then. In NBA history, the Game 5 winner of a tied best-of-7 series goes on to win the series 82% of the time. So in this scenario, the Bulls are 9-10 when they're tied 2-all in the best-of-7 series. LeBron's teams, however, are 6-4 in his career in the best-of-7 series when the series is tied 2-all. So, Stephen A., let's talk about this series. Do you think it's over?
Yes, I do. I do believe it's over. I said that on SportsCenter yesterday. I'm going to reiterate it right here, right now. As far as I'm concerned, the Chicago Bulls lost this series when they lost that game yesterday. You cannot lose a game to the Cleveland Cavaliers when LeBron James shoots 10 for 30 and has 8 turnovers. When Kyrie Irving shoots 2 of 10. You just can't let that happen. You already don't have Love. Kyrie's hurt. LeBron is just struggling in terms of his shooting from the field. and somehow, some way, they escape with this win. And this is after a buzzer beater was what you needed to kill them on Friday.
A lucky buzzer beater?
Well, it doesn't matter, Skip.
Well, it was just flat out luck.
Well, Skip, so what?
Well, it's
I mean, you throw the ball up.
No, it was luck.
You throw the ball up. It wasn't lucky for them to be in a position where the game-winning shot occurred. It wasn't lucky for them to be in a position where the game was tied. But I'm just saying, it wasn't lucky for them to be at that point. Any coach, any player, any organization will tell you, luck always plays a role at some point. It happens. So that's it. Okay.
Yeah, but when the shot is lucky that wins the game.
Yeah, but I'm not going to, because every time you sit there and say stuff like that, it annoys me because it reminds me of you with the Giants and the Patriots and how the Giants lucked up instead of realizing the Patriots lost 2 Super Bowls. You always use luck every time. You always lose luck. You lose luck or just conspiracy theories and how people get right. You're never just wrong. Okay, it's always luck or intervention or something. I don't want to hear it. They lost Friday. They won Sunday.
I'm actually trying to make your point for you. I'm trying to make it stronger for you.
No, I don't need.
The Bulls knew how lucky they were on.
I don't think I'll ever need your help to make my point stronger. I don't think so. Actually, I don't.
Actually, I don't. 7?
I said, well, I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
You don't know?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, let me help you.
I don't know.
It's going to be in 6.
I don't know.
Bulls,
I don't know.
We're going to lose this in 6. They're going to lose the next 2.
I understand that. And San Antonio was in 7, too, so be careful. The point that I'm trying to make to you is
if I hadn't gotten a bad call, my Spurs...
Oh, so now you haven't had a bad call.
My Spurs would be sweeping the Rockets.
So now you haven't had
sweeping the Rockets.
They haven't had a bad call.
They would easily beat Memphis or Golden State. Easily. So they would be in the finals and they would beat LeBron's new team in the finals.
I got bad news for you.
It would have happened except for one call on Tim Duncan.
I never heard a word that you just said because producer Kevin was in my ear the whole time talking to Kerry while you were talking, so I didn't hear a word you just said, which is good. The point that I'm trying to make to you is this. I didn't hear a word you said. I'm just telling you that. And it was good. It was good. It was good. The point that I'm trying to make to you is this. In the end, what it comes down to is you're the Chicago Bulls. You gave up a 16-0 run at one juncture, a 16-2 run at another juncture. They have difficulty scoring. Yep. Now, the absence of Pau Gasol is something that people want to point to. Here's the problem with that. When Pau Gasol is in the game, he's a defensive liability for Chicago because he doesn't defend pick and rolls well. So because he can't do that, it leaves a lot of stuff open for the Cavaliers. According to them, that's what they said. And as a result, it works to their advantage. Now, when he comes back, he's going to be an offensive force to be reckoned with.
He's a 20 and 10 guy, right?
Well, he wasn't a 20-10. Remember, he scored 11 points in one of those games.
Well, I'm saying for the year, you can expect him.
Well, listen, Golden State's a lot of things for the year. Look at them right now. Yeah. So let's be clear. The regular season is a different game than the season.
Pau Gasol out is a good thing for the Cavaliers?
Defensively.
Okay.
Defensively for the Bulls, yes, it is a good thing for the Cavaliers. Not offensively, because Pau Gasol, you don't go on a 16-0 run or a 16-2 run if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers with Pau Gasol on the floor. He'll find a way to get some points for you in the midst of all of that to stop the bleeding. But you just look at Chicago. The moment was yours. The moment was yours. And I love me some Tom Thibodeau, and I think he's an exceptional coach, one of the top 3 coaches in the game of basketball. But you know something? When you look at Paxson and you look at Agar Foreman, one of the points that rang true and was really illuminated for me yesterday, Skip, Gar Foreman and John Paxson wanted this man to hire an offensive-minded assistant coach. Yep. Wow. Tom Thibodeau did not want to do that. He's like, I'm in control. I got this. And goodness, they could have used some help on the offensive end of the floor yesterday afternoon.
But isn't Gasol that guy? I mean, he is automatic from like 18 feet when you just leave him out there.
He's not always automatic. He's not, especially in the postseason. Gasol could play as a 2-time champion. Nothing but mad respect for him. But at the same time, again, there are games where he hasn't shown up offensively. He's just their best offensive option, primarily because Joakim Noah, high energy, big-time defender, rebounds for you, high motor, but offensively, he's regressed. Wilbon and I were talking about this yesterday. He can't hit a layup. Get a layup right now. And that's not something we anticipated will happen. So that elevates the importance of Pau Gasol. We'll see whether it works out or not. But I'm just of the mindset. Cleveland wins Game 5. Chicago has a big-time shot of winning Game 6, but I said at the beginning of this series, before the series began, it will come down to 7 games, and I don't see any way that they're beating LeBron James in Cleveland for Game 7.
Okay.
I just don't see it.
So you're saying it's going to be over in 7 yet?
Probably so.
Probably 7.
Yeah.
And I'm saying 6, which was my original prediction, because the point I was trying to get through your head was that the Bulls know how lucky they were to win Game 3, the first game at home, and they know they should have lost yesterday decisively. Cleveland had them dead to rights, and without LeBron's 2 offensive fouls, and I thought they were both good calls, the one on Noah and the one on Dunleavy with the elbow.
He deserved it.
Okay, he deserved both of them. But if you take those away, I think the Cavs are going to pull away in that game. They could have won by 8 or 10 easily because they were put in a position to do that by J.R. Smith's 4 jump shots, and as you said, 3
But it
of them
wasn't. But it
three-pointers.
wasn't just luck. The fact is that LeBron has been missing shots.
Okay.
Kyrie Irving's missing shots, and defensively, the Chicago Bulls can really amp it up.
Okay.
Their struggles are putting the ball in the hole.
Okay, so my point is, I don't know about Pau Gasol's hamstring, but as we know, when hamstrings are bad, they're really, really bad. So he could be gone for the rest of the season. I just don't know. We don't know yet. Taj Gibson left that game at a crucial moment yesterday with a knee injury. He told the reporters after the game, I think I'm going to be okay, but I don't know if he's going to be okay. Can you turn it around in 48 hours and play on a bad knee in a Game 6 at Cleveland? I don't know
If
about
Taj
that.
Gibson and Pau Gasol can't go, then of course it's over in 6. There's no question. But I'm assuming that Taj Gibson's going to be able to go because I'm thinking that you're going to wet the bed Game 5. I don't think you're going to come out with guns blazing in Game 5 if you're Chicago.
Yep.
You're going to be ready. You're going to have your back against the wall. 3-2, Game 6, back in Chicago. I think you show up for that. And I think then is what forces a Game 7. But obviously, I'm assuming everybody's healthy because if they're not, all bets are off.
Okay, so the biggest X factor in this series, injury-wise, is now Kyrie Irving. And again, I'm told that foot is more serious than even they are letting on. It could require some sort of procedure after this.
Possibly.
You know, like so you've got a big issue going on there to the point there are times he's a liability to me on defense, especially because he just can't move. So depending on who he's trying to cover, it's a problem. And he doesn't seem to have any lift. I thought he could at least shoot threes, and he doesn't even seem to have any confidence trying to shoot threes. Okay, so now more burden falls on the shoulders of the best player on the planet. Can he lift this team with the help of a Mozgov and a Tristan Thompson, who I think have played huge?
Let me tell you something right now. Watching Mozgov up close, he's impressive.
He is really
he can
impressive.
play. He can play. Obviously, Tristan Thompson, he can play as well, and he rebounds and defends with abandon. But you need other guys. You need perimeter shooters if you're LeBron, which to me makes J.R. Smith the X factor. J.R. Smith, and not only that, he's not scared of the moment, and he's not scared to take the big shot. And I think that's very, very important.
I think the Bulls are cooked. I think psychologically, if they almost lost 2 games at home, did lose 1 on a buzzer beater that just ripped their heart out.
Their only shot.
I just think
their only shot was to win games 3 and 4.
Sure.
And the fact that they lost yesterday, they lost this series.
All right, so the gentlemen agree the series is over. One says 6, the other says 7. Game 5, though, however, tomorrow night in Cleveland, 7 Eastern. Odell Beckham, speaking of the game, was a little excited about LeBron James's buzzer beater, shall we say? Take a listen.
Let's go, Bron! Turn up, Bron! Yeah! Turn up! Turn up! I see you, Bron! Yeah! I see you!
He sees LeBron. Odell Beckham Jr. will be on our show Wednesday along with Rob Gronkowski. You definitely don't.
Hopefully he'll be calmer. He'll be calmer.
He did put it up. What do you think of that? Well, he was excited.
He didn't have a shirt on, right?
I mean, well, he's just letting people know what he's working with.
Okay, all right.
The Warriors didn't practice on Sunday. They just watched the film of Saturday night's loss to see exactly where they kept rushing. They now have shot 6 of 26 outside the arc for a second straight game. It's an embarrassing 23%. And according to the Basketball Power Index, Warriors, however, still have a chance, a 51% chance of winning the series. But Steve Kerr says winning tonight's game is obviously crucial, while Draymond Green says he's looking forward to see how his team responds since they are down 2-1. So, Stephen Stephen A., you said that the Grizzlies would give them a fight. How much trouble are the Warriors in?
They're in a world of trouble. The Warriors, in order to win this series, must win tonight's game. They lose tonight's game, they're going home. They're not getting past this round. They're not beating the Memphis Grizzlies 3 games in a row. Skip Bayless and myself have told the world that Tony Allen is a friend of this show. This dude, Kerry, is a rough rider. He's one of them brothers. He ain't backing down. He's coming at you, and he is literally attempting to snatch your heart out of your chest. And what makes him special is he's trying to do it defensively. He knows he's no offensive juggernaut. He doesn't care. He wants to be mentioned in the same breath as the Dennis Rodmans and the Scottie Pippens and the elite defensive players in NBA history. This is what he wants. This is why people walk around screaming, first team all defense, first team all defense. He's heard all of this noise about the Splash Brothers. The Memphis Grizzlies are the only team in the NBA that beat the Warriors 3 times this year. Nobody else has done it. Draymond Green, who I love me some Draymond Green. He can't mess with no big boy, Zach Randolph. That boy too big for him. And Zach reminds him of it every time he touches the ball. Even when he's not touching the ball, he's going by leaning on him, elbowing him. You know, he's just using him like a coat rack, for crying out loud. This is what Zach Randolph is doing. He's got 20 points in all of these games. He's coming at you. And let's be real, Skip. If we're gonna be real here on First Take, I'm sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want New Zealand and folks in Australia, everybody hearing about him calling me a wonker again. Andrew Bogut. Andrew Bogut. Okay, calling me names. But the fact of the matter is this: Zach Randolph and Mark Gasol ain't worried about no Andrew Bogut. That's the least of their concerns. Draymond Green has got to step up and play better, but it's a tall task to ask him because Zach Randolph has got too much beat. He's a big boy, and he reminds Draymond Green of how small he really is in comparison every time he touches the ball because he throws a body on him. But the real key in this series is Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Steph Curry, forget the fact that he scored just 2 points and had no assist in the fourth quarter. This is the stat y'all need to keep in mind. He only attempted 1 field goal. That's when somebody's all up in you. You ain't getting anything. I'm married to you right now. I'll walk with you to the locker room, to the bathroom if I have to, just to let you know I'm here. That is what Mike Conley and Tony Allen are doing to these boys right now.
Mike Conley also.
That's right. Both of them. Both of them. Mike Conley on Steph, Tony Allen on Klay. They switching off. I mean, it doesn't. They are defending, and that is what's going on here because Memphis is playing playoff basketball because that's the brand of basketball that they played all year long. And it would have been nice to see Lionel Hollins coaching this team, by the way, since it's his players. But the point is that it's nice to they're playing basketball, playoff basketball, which is what they've been doing all season. Golden State has not been doing that because perimeter shots don't win you championships. And my last comment is this, Skip, and I'm going to say this because it needs to be said. Once again, I applaud the job that Steve Kerr has done. He's done a fabulous job. He's one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet, too. But when these people walk around talking about the Warriors and inexperience, we're just young. Oh, hell no. Anybody trying to hear that? We wouldn't hear that if it was Mark Jackson coaching this team. Oh, they're young. Oh, they're just not there. I mean, it takes some time to grow and play. Oh, no.
Well, he's young, too.
I'm just saying.
Right? This is the first time he's ever been a head coach.
You know what? All I'm saying to you is this. Mark Jackson didn't get that.
Same luxury.
He didn't get that. Mark Jackson, who's responsible for the building the foundation of this franchise, he did not get that. So I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm not pointing the finger at Steve Kerr because I think him and Alvin Gentry have done an outstanding job. The coaching staff is great. I'm not complaining about them. I'm simply saying to Joe Public out there, oh, no. I'll say it again. Hell no. You are not getting away with that. You wouldn't say it, they were young. If Mark Jackson was coaching, we don't want to hear it now. You're the best team in basketball. You had the best record in basketball. You've been balling all year, and now Memphis has punched you in the mouth. It is incumbent upon Golden State to step up and stand up and remind the world we have the reigning league MVP. We're the Splash Brothers. We won 67 games this year. We are no joke, and we will come and we will beat Memphis. No excuses.
Okay, wait a second. Are we saying that somebody's saying they're young or inexperienced?
They were saying
who's they?
Steve Kerr,
okay,
and the Golden State Warriors. they were talking about how we're a young team, we have to go through this. And I'm like, no.
Okay.
Everybody trying to hear that.
Okay.
You ain't that young. You've been in the playoffs the last 2 years.
Weren't they talking about inexperienced? Going deep in the playoffs?
Whatever, young, inexperienced. Skip, they've been in the playoffs the last 2 years.
And how far have they gone?
Well, they got knocked out in the first round.
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is this. You won 67 games. This is supposed to be your time.
Okay.
What you going to do?
Which brings me to my answer to Kerry's question. What they're going to do tonight is they're going to win this game. That's what I believe.
They better.
And if they do, they'll be back in business.
Yes, they will.
And you're right. They won 67 games, which was the 6th best record in the history of the NBA, which is pretty great for a team with a first-year head coach who had never coached a dribble at any level of any basketball.
That's right.
So I'm looking at what the odds makers are saying about tonight's game. The odds makers in Las Vegas, we were just there, these are pretty smart guys, and they're still saying that the Golden State Warriors are a 5-point favorite at Memphis tonight in Game 4. I'm going to hang my hat on that today. I'm going to say that Golden State should win this game, and Golden State will win this game. But the issue I have is with the MVP, who has not been able to live up to being named the MVP for the last 2 games. Remember, they feted him. They honored him that night at Golden State before Game 2. And I'm not saying it was a mistake, because he deserved it and he embraced it and he should have, because it was an incredible achievement for that skinny young man that is Steph Curry.
He deserved it.
Came from nowhere, basically, in Charlotte, North Carolina, not even recruited, out of high school, to become NBA MVP through all those ankle issues and surgeries that he went through was huge. So God bless. But now it's time to get back to business, and he could not live up. I'm just guessing in his psyche that he was trying, because he's a great kid. He's just a great man. He's a man now. But he was trying to do too much. He's trying to live up to being MVP of the league. And that first night, Game 2, he shoots 2 for 11 from 3. And they score a total of 90 points. Then the other night, Game 3, he shoots 2 for 10 from 3. And they total 89 points. This is a team that averaged 110 points during the regular season. That's no good, Steph. You know it, and I know it. As a team, they shot 40% from 3 during the regular season, which led the NBA. And now they're down to 31% from 3. 25 of 80, thanks in large part to the MVP, Steph Curry. So he's going to have to make some. He's going to have to figure it out. And I know you live and die. We talk about this all the time. You live and die from the three-point land. And it's not the way to win championships. But he can do a lot of things with the basketball, and he's going to have to create some opportunities for himself to make threes. We always say that he's capable.
You know Steph Curry's my favorite player to watch in the NBA.
Me too.
Here's the deal. When you witness a guy on the bench with his head down, the way Steph's head was down, that indicates that your heart has been snatched. Now, I'm not going to be blasphemous and say that about the great Steph Curry, but I will say that's how it looked. Now, when you combine that with reading the reports and how the players had to get him to come out and texting them, come on and eat dinner and hang out with us, and because you in your hotel room and you just down.
Because he normally stays in
I understand, but they were talking about how he was down. I'm saying to you, the kind of cat that Tony Allen and Mike Conley are, they see something like that. That's like shark and blood-infested waters. You just can't look like that. You understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about appearances. You just can't look like that. So when I look at it from that perspective, I don't hold Steph totally accountable, because I recognize when you've got Zach and Gasol down low and you got a guy like Jeff Green, people like that, you're talking about a front line that's suffocated. Ain't much room to operate driving to the basket. There's some big bodies down there, which means that gives Conley and Allen the freedom to get all up in you and take chances, because they know they got their backs covered. But where I hold Steph accountable, there were some open shots he had, and he looked way off, like he's never looked this season, which is why I said, I don't blame you for pointing at him, and it's like, look, because those are not shots Steph would normally. Now, if they're contested, that's different. But the open shots, I mean, he won open shot, it was an air ball. That's not Steph Curry I know. And then you put your head down and you look defeated. That These are the kind of guys, man. These are the kind of guys. If you playing in the park, you're going like this. I can't show any weakness. These brothers will take me out and embarrass me and laugh at me in front of everybody if I bow to them. I've got to come at them just as hard as they're coming at me. Steph Curry, it ain't just about him shooting. He literally has to go playground tonight and remind Conley and Tony Allen just who he is. Because they're coming at him in a way that ain't just NBA basketball. I mean, they're trying to snatch your manhood. Sure. You got to understand that. Everybody doesn't try to snatch your manhood. These brothers try to snatch your manhood. Steph Curry can't let them do that. Cannot let them do that.
And what happened right on time as Steph was awarded the MVP, what did Mike Conley Jr. do for his team? He returned with that mask on. And speaking of manhood, that was a man.
And by the way,
it spoke to his
By the way, Conley scored. The game started. In the first 6 minutes, he had like 9 points. That particular game. But I just can't say enough, man. Tony Allen and Mike Conley, we don't give them enough credit. Well, they're rough riders.
Okay, but your point about how young or inexperienced Golden State is, this Memphis team is an extremely veteran playoff basketball team. It seems like 10 years ago, this same group eliminated my Spurs when Ginobili got hurt, when he had his elbow hurt last regular season game. And they've been together this whole time, man. And they're still together, and they're playing at their highest level right now.
And by the way, let's not just talk about Steph. They're called the Splash Brothers for a reason. Klay Thompson needs to step up and handle his business as well.
And there are a bunch of other guys on that team. And you mentioned Bogus that you talked about. But there's a guy named Harrison Barnes, and there's Spates, and there's Barbosa, and there's Iguodala. Listen, they can all play.
But the only reason I don't point the finger at them that much, and I know they have to step up, I agree with you. But the only reason I don't point to them that much is that when all else fails, you're going to defer to the Splash Brothers because their numbers are going to get called as it pertains to who gets the shots. So as a result of that, they can only do but so much. When I see Andre Iguodala or Harrison Barnes hit 4 of 8 shots, how am I going to hold them accountable? You hit 50% of your shots. It's up to Klay and Steph. If you can't score yourself, facilitate. But you've got to do something because they need to hear this. Tony Allen and Mike Conley are trying to snatch their hearts. They're not just trying to win games. They are trying to demoralize you to make sure it's embedded in your mind. We are taking your heart from you. You are not on our level. They have to step up and respond and say, damn that, we ain't having it. It's got to be that kind of attitude.
Okay, so who you got tonight?
I got to go with Golden State because I picked Golden State to win this series. And if Golden State doesn't win tonight, they will lose the series. They will not beat Memphis 3 games in a row. They must win tonight.
It's big trouble, guys. Spates out. You mentioned Spates. He's out for 4 and 5. Obviously, he injured himself. Steve Kerr said tonight is a moment of truth. Hopefully, they will have the right answer. Phil Jackson, however, weighing in on the game, he sent the following tweet, which some assumed was a bit of a shot at the Golden State Warriors. It says, NBA analysts, give me some diagnostics on how 3-point-oriented teams are faring this playoff. So he's suggesting that 3-point teams don't really do well in the playoffs.
But didn't he say, seriously, how's it going? Was that the end of his speech?
And it was like he's
here's the bottom line.
Taking a shot at them, not sure.
I don't care whether he's taking a shot at them or not. He's an 11-time champion. But in the end, the Knicks was so horrid, so awful, such a basketball abomination of epic proportions. The fact that Phil Jackson would even allow us to be reminded that he is still involved in the sport. The Knicks was so bad, I damn near forgot the man won 11 titles as a coach. I mean, that's how bad they were. So Phil needs to be focusing on the draft and free agency and lead the playoff basketball to people who actually made an attempt to make the playoffs. Phil doesn't need to say anything. Nothing.
Phil, you shouldn't be
I have one question for Mr. Jackson.
This one here.
What's that?
This one here?
Phil Jackson, yes. My question is, Phil, the last 2 regular seasons, the three-point shooting was won by the San Antonio Spurs. They led the league both years, and they should have won both championships. But another three-point shooter named Ray Allen stopped them from winning the first championship, but they did win the second championship.
And let's remember that when Phil was winning his titles, there was a dude by the name of Robert Horry who shot threes all
no more
the time.
tweeting is what we're getting at.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Stephen A. just talking about the Clippers. With a dominant win over the Rockets, in the win, Clippers become the first team since the 2001 Lakers to win back-to-back games in a single series by 25 or more points. Sunday's 33-point win is the second largest playoff win in franchise history. Rockets self-imploded with 21 turnovers and employing the hack of Jordan in the first half. We'll get to that a little later on in the second hour of our show. But the Clippers are just one win away from their very first trip to the Western Conference Finals. Stephen A., you talked about the atmosphere there during the commercial break. It was something to behold.
It was electric.
It's a show. So let's talk about the Clippers. How much of a threat are they?
Well, preseason, I picked them to win it. If you remember, I said they were going to the finals, they were going to win it all because stupidly, my thinking was they acquired Spencer Hawes, and obviously DeAndre Jordan was going to be a liability from the free throw line, and because he was going to be a liability from the free throw line, if you get an additional big to insert into the game who can hit perimeter shots and hit free throws, it will pull big belt folks away from the basket defensively, which would give CP3 more room to operate. Spencer Hawes hasn't panned out. DeAndre Jordan, at least in some sequences, was shooting better than 50% from the free throw line. That was not the case yesterday. When you look at him, 14 to 34 from the free throw line, that's simply horrific. We understand that. It was unwatchable how Kevin McHale and the Houston Rockets inserted, the hack of Jordan philosophy. But I must confess to you, I don't blame them. As awful as it is for the fans to watch, and as much as the NBA needs to do something about it, I don't know what they can do about it because, again, if you can't hit free throws, that's your problem. I don't know if a rule should be changed just because you have an impediment to your game. But I got to tell you, forgive me for shifting gears. That third quarter, there was a sequence when the Clippers had 5, I think I counted because I was watching it literally on a plane flying home from Chicago. And for once, I was on a plane that had television. It was good. It was a beautiful thing. And the game was on. And it was literally 5 straight occasions where CP3 threw an alley-oop. And 3 of them was to DeAndre Jordan. One of them was over to Dwight Howard, but not literally because Dwight Howard was backing up and all of that stuff. But DeAndre Jordan was literally walking on air and just caught it one hand and just these brothers are a show. I'm talking box office, walk through the turnstiles type show. You don't go to just see the Clippers win basketball games. You go to see a show. And these brothers are putting on a show. The more I'm looking at them, the more I'm believing, Skip, they could literally win the chip that my preseason prediction may end up being right. But I will tell you this. The Houston Rockets are no barometer for this. They are getting annihilated. They are getting annihilated. Dwight Howard was a no-show yesterday. Picked up 2 early fouls in the first 4 minutes. He was done. Yeah. But he's also done, Skip, because of this reason. I was told that James Harden was really, really ticked off that he didn't get league MVP honors. Oh, boy. And that he was pouting a little bit. He got attitude. He's still upset at me because I remind the world how one of the great players in the game that they didn't show up for the NBA Finals, and damn it, I'm not taking it back. You didn't show up. I don't know what you got this attitude for, but it is what it is. He didn't show up. As skilled as he is, he's big time. James Harden is no scrub. He's big time. But here's the problem. You big time one-on-one dancing on everybody and all of that stuff. That don't work. in the postseason against coaches who know how to plan against that for a 7-game series. And as a result, you saw guys standing around watching him, and then when they've been called upon to step up and produce, can't happen. Dwight Howard had 14-10 with 2 blocks in the first half Friday. In the third quarter, they forgot about him.
I know.
How do you do that? You forgot about him in the midst of a 23-0 run by the Clippers. Skip, they are walking. They told me before they beat the Spurs, man, we want to win this series so bad because that means we get Houston. We know we could take them. This is what they told me before the series began. And what you are witnessing as we speak is a beat down of it is an annihilation. This series is over. It's all a matter of whether the Clippers want to end it or are they interested in winning it in front of their home fans for Game 6. Houston's done. Houston's done. It's one of those things. Reggie Miller put it best. He sat there and said, literally, he said, this is a video game. It's like NBA 2K. This is like a video game. That's how easy it was. It's an annihilation, a romp. It's embarrassing to Harden, to Dwight Howard, to Kevin McHale, to everybody. Houston is just being completely and utterly outclassed to the point where Austin Rivers is talking.
Literally. Cooking.
You made so many points. I'm going to have to take them in order here. I'm trying to keep up with them. I'm down to about 12.
Yeah, I saw you jotting.
Just
point number
on your
one.
points.
Point number 1. Your preseason prediction was your preseason prediction. You backed off.
I did.
I'm not going to give it back to you.
I'm not asking. I'm not asking. You don't have to. I always acknowledge. That's why I said preseason. I didn't sit there and acknowledge
the record. He backed way up. He jumped so off the bandwagon. He broke both his ankles when he jumped off the bandwagon.
You can say that.
That's how hard he jumped.
You stuck to your convictions and you were wrong.
Okay.
We both have our methods.
My Spurs would have waltzed through the Rockets.
They would have. They would have
waltzed.
Please, would have been done.
They could have played the second team.
You know what, Skip? I'm not sure. I think it would have been more interesting than this. I think Clippers' athleticism is just too much. Houston looks demoralized. You got to see it, man. They look demoralized. They can't deal with these boys.
By the way, that was a 6-point game at halftime last night. Maybe thanks in part to Hack of DeAndre. And in the third quarter alone, the Clippers scored 43 in the third. That's like no mas. That's like we're done. We're done. Thank you very much. We're going to fly home safely, right?
Yes.
Okay. So back to your James Harden point. So you're saying his heart hasn't really been in this series because he lost the MVP?
No, I wouldn't say that because he did show up in that first round series against Dallas, even though you learned about the league MVP after that. But I would tell you that what I'm hearing is that he was upset that he didn't get league MVP honors. It's not. I would never accuse him of tanking or anything like that.
Most guys would go the other way.
Yes.
They would respond by saying, watch this.
They would respond by saying, watch this. But you need, if you're James Harden, you need Josh Smith to step up. You need Corey Brewer to step up.
McHale wasn't playing
because he wasn't
like 14 minutes
because he wasn't delivering anything when he got opportunities. So you got Corey Brewer. He's not making shots. You got Josh Smith. He's not making shots. Patrick Beverly is out. He's injured. He's not available to you. And Dwight Howard does not have Omar Sheik. So as a result, you got to remember, with shoes off, Dwight Howard is literally 6'9". So you got DeAndre Jordan having about a legit 3 inches on him. Plus he's a skywalker. Plus he has the assistance of Blake Griffin. And then you got Matt Barnes just getting on everybody's nerves, getting in everybody's head the way that he can.
But he can play.
Yeah, of course he can play. Dwight Howard, it was a bad game. He was awful yesterday. But the flip side to that is, he has no help on the front line. Zero. And against the Clippers, that's the worst team to be in that predicament against.
Before we leave James Harden, I got to give a quick shout out to one player on the Clippers that we rarely talk about. J.J. Redick has been playing some defense on James Harden, just for the record. And I did not know this young man had it in him. We know he can shoot the lights out, especially when he gets going, but he has been playing some really rough rider defense on James Harden.
I'm a fan of J.J. Redick. I'm a fan of J.J. Redick.
Well,
he can play.
He's playing big for this team.
He's playing big.
To your overall question. Something special is going on with the Los Angeles Clippers right now. And it starts with that little point guard, that guy you said was only about 6 feet tall, and that we can't set our bar too high because he can only do so much.
Hamstring.
He is igniting this basketball team. When he shoots those three-point shots, he shoots them with such conviction that when they leave his hand, I say, that's going in. And they usually do. Last night, he made, 3 out of 4 threes?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, 3 out of 4 for Chris Paul last night. When he shoots free throws, the late gamers that are crucial against my Spurs, they leave his hands and I say, that's good. Because he shoots it with conviction like this is his time. He has come of age. It's been a long, he's 29 years of age. We didn't know if he's Chris Paul or Cliff Paul sometimes. Some nights I wasn't sure if he's Cliff or Chris. This is special stuff. And because of him and the team, Blake Griffin's just taken it up. I think you weren't on the other day when I made this point to maybe Chauncey. In my career, I have never, I made it to Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, you said
I'm sorry.
to Chris.
Yeah. In my career, I have never seen a player improve as much as Blake Griffin has over the last 3 years. He came into this league, he couldn't make free throws, and he couldn't make a shot beyond 3 feet. Now he's getting automatic, shooting glass shots. Listen, and we know what he can do athletically, and his effort is off the charts. He just out-scraps people for loose balls, time and time again.
Blake Griffin has elevated himself to superstar status.
Yeah.
But I still have one holdout with him.
Mm-hmm.
His ultimate nemesis, the guy who instigated and provoked all of the cynicism about him, may very well be the guy waiting for him in the Western Conference Finals in Zach Randolph.
Yep.
You know, it's real nice because you see, I see guys getting physical with him, trying to punk Blake Griffin. He ain't backing down. All that stuff that was said about him before, that can't be said about him now. That can't be said about him now. But none of those dudes are Zach Randolph. Now, Zach Randolph can't mess with Blake Griffin's athleticism, not in any day of the week. But when you're down there with the big boys and elbows and shoulders and the beef is all over you, well, now we're going to find out because, remember, Zach knows he can't jump with Blake Griffin. So he's going to try to keep him grounded. And Blake Griffin, I mean, he's going to test him now. So all I'm saying is that I believe in Blake Griffin. I believe in his skill. I think he's a high-end professional. I think he's a great ambassador for the game. I love what I'm seeing. Give Austin Rivers a lot of credit, the way he's been playing, because that has helped Chris Paul. Because Chris Paul has done. Austin Rivers has been phenomenal, and Doc Rivers deserves a lot of credit when people were blasting him for bringing his son on board. And he told me face-to-face, remember I told you that? He said, I don't give a damn, and that ain't the words you use. All right, but he's like, look, please, this is my son. I believe in him, and I'm going to give him the opportunity, and we're going to prove those folks wrong. And he's been right. Okay, now, that still brings us back to Blake Griffin. Now, I want to see Blake Griffin and the Clippers against Golden State. That's what I'd love to see. The flip side, however, is Memphis obviously is going to have something to say about that. And nobody is walking over Memphis. So Blake Griffin, all of his troubles is because of Zach Randolph. And if Zach Randolph and the Grizzlies meet them in the Western Conference Finals.
I got to tell you, what's killing me about the point you're making, and I do agree with it, Zach Randolph has one nemesis in the National Basketball League. Tiago Splitter. Trust me.
Both of them.
Trust me.
I'm just talking about
Zach just shrinks.
But I remember
they swept him last
I totally agree, but I remember there were so many times I saw Duncan on him. He couldn't do anything with Duncan because Duncan just knows he's so smart. It's both of them, but I'm just saying, I keep mentioning Duncan because Duncan straight up at age 38 was defending this guy. I'm just telling you. That's his number.
They're not in it. They just needed one shot.
He's punching up the same without the score.
I'm just telling you, man. Zach Randolph.
Okay.
A Hall of Famer can't get a call.
All right.
You said the Clippers are obviously going to win the series. Depends on how they want to extend it. So do you think that Game 5 in Houston?
I don't know. I can't tell you what mood the Clippers are going to be in. I know it ain't going past 6.
Okay.
It's just a matter because you look, they get so hyped. At the Staples Center.
You just want to go back for Game 6.
No, I'm not going back for Game 6.
Oh, good.
Oh, no. I'm not going back for Game 6.
Good.
If Golden State loses tonight, I'm going to Memphis. I want to be in Memphis.
You going to Memphis?
Memphis and say, hey, man, it ain't just Elvis, baby. It's me, too.
So Clippers are now the favorites to win the title, according to the Basketball Power Index.
Welcome to the jailhouse, bro.
Can we afford that music? I didn't think you even knew.
1.5 remaining. James for the win. 2 games apiece.
To be honest, the play that was drawn up, I scratched it. And I just told Coach, just give me the ball. And, you know, we either going to go into overtime or I'm going to win it for us.
First, Coach had LeBron taking the ball out. I'm like, are you sure?
We had drawn up a play prior to that. And, you know, Bron basically said he wants the ball and he wants to finish the game. And we have all the confidence in him.
Were you trying to call a timeout there?
Yeah, I almost blew it. Good thing they caught it. My guys.
Cavaliers coach David Blatt admitted he almost cost his team the game by calling for a timeout that they did not have. LeBron said he just scratched the play, you heard him, and decided to take over. You heard J.R. Smith also weighing in, and it's no surprise that Coach Blatt has had some growing pains with that team. So let's talk about winning. Are they winning in spite of Blatt? Joining us now is our analyst, sometimes NBA analyst apparently.
Well, you
Brian
know,
Clark is
I'm just trying to be versatile. You know what I mean? Maybe one day when these guys take a vacation, if I show enough, you know, I can take one of these seats.
You could always fill in for a vacation. You know, and if we give it about 5 years, you can have it.
Okay.
You were a very
well, I
good
appreciate
high
it.
school basketball player, as I recall.
You know, I was state champion, point guard.
Well, there you go.
Know,
there you go.
Well, there's state
Chauncey's going to let me play on his over 30 basketball league here in Connecticut.
It's a wrap.
Oh, okay.
So, well, let's go to our local expert first before we go to the state champion. So are the Cavs winning in spite of Blatt, Stephen A?
Yeah. Hate to say it, but it appears to be that way because over the course of this season, there have been a myriad of errors that he has made. Some that we've spoken about in the past, others that we haven't spoken about, but everybody's keenly aware of it. People like myself are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because this is his first year coaching in the NBA. He coached in Israel. He had a lot of success there. And there's an adjustment period where you're coaching on this level against these players, against these coaches. And as a result, whereas they all know one another, you don't, so you're figuring them out. And so I think that at times people have been entirely too harsh on this man. But then you get to incidents like yesterday. I don't care what level you coached on. You have to know better than trying to get LeBron James to inbound the basketball, as opposed to him being on the court and potentially being one of the individuals to catch and shoot the ball with 1.5 seconds left. You have to know that you have no more timeouts with 8.4 seconds left instead of your guy, Tyronn Lue, literally yanking you off the court. Because, again, had he been called for a tech on that because they had no timeouts, they lose the game.
Yeah.
They don't win that game. He could have cost them, and they possibly lose the series. He could have cost them that.
Yep.
You have to know better than that. You can't make those kind of errors. And so when you look at all of those things, and that's not the first time things like that have happened under the Blatt era, but when you look at all of that, and then you combine that with hearing players tell the media, he called that play, we was like, what? You sure? You know, like, because it wasn't just LeBron questioning it.
Yeah,
it was everybody.
Everybody was questioning it.
And they're not hiding the fact that they're questioning it. I think that speaks volumes. It's one thing for a guy to sit there and say, give me the ball. In other words, call my number. It's another thing entirely when people, they're not told, they wouldn't remember, they're not sitting there saying LeBron should get the ball. Had he called it for J.R. Smith, they understand it, but they were questioning that he should inbound the ball. That's an entirely different scenario. He's the best player in the world. What do you mean he's throwing the ball inbounds? You know, instead of being the one catching it. When stuff like that happens and collectively players are scratching their heads, that's not a good sign for a first-year coach. It just isn't. You know, you Larry Brown, you Phil Jackson, you Doc Rivers or somebody will sit there, and whether they tell you or not, they might go with a different play because they're in the moment. You know, but they're not questioning your judgment. They were questioning Blatt's judgment, and they've been doing so all season long. He wins, there's nothing they can say. But if the Cleveland Cavaliers don't go to the NBA Finals, you best believe, even if it's with his silence, there's going to be a message sent via LeBron James or whomever that a new coach needs to be in Cleveland next season.
You got to look at it, though. You talk about him being a first-year coach and them questioning him. If that's Larry Brown, if that's Popovich, if that's Phil Jackson, they may say, hey, coach, maybe we go this different route, but they would still have an issue with him saying LeBron should take the ball out. That last play is not the issue to me. The timeout is more important to me, because you lose the game. Even if you draw up this play and they miss the shot, you go into overtime. But if you get that timeout, you lose the game. Tyronn Lue, who we haven't seen have any significance in the playoffs since Allen Iverson stepped over him after he hit that three, had to literally pull him off the court. And it's like you said, as a head coach, as the head ball coach of a basketball team, you have to know that. You should be the one telling your team not to call a timeout. And also, we've had this all year, whether it was LeBron pushing him when he was talking to the referee and different instances like that. I think it works for this team, though, because you have a LeBron, because you have a guy like that. If you were expecting Kyrie to lead this team and it was only Kyrie, and if it would have been Wiggins or Kevin Love, who probably wouldn't have gone if it was LeBron, then you have an issue, because you don't have somebody respected enough with enough experience to change those things or to fix those things or to step up. So I think for this team, it actually works a little bit, and they can win games because you have a guy who's the best player in the world as opposed to other people on the team.
I'm going to take it one step farther from what you just said about LeBron. Late in the regular season, I only half-kiddingly said that LeBron James deserves some votes for Coach of the Year. I was only half-kidding about that because there's some truth to that. The jobs that LeBron did with Kyrie first, teaching him, then meshing with him, which was no easy feat because Kyrie is his own man, and they clicked and bonded near the end of the year. And now Kyrie has LeBron's back and vice versa. That was well done by LeBron James. And the job he did working on Kevin Love's psyche, he had Kevin Love in a good spot until Kevin got hurt, but he was starting to produce, obviously, in playoff games. So I have no issue with LeBron changing that play. But what was key to me was that LeBron volunteered to the media after the game, and it's in effect throwing Coach under bus. But he just wanted the world to know, I scratched that play. I changed that play because he is in control of this basketball team.
Skip, do you think he wanted the world to know because, as many times as you said up here at LeBron, take the shot, LeBron, be the guy, I think he also wanted people to know, you know what, I wanted the ball.
I wanted the ball, and he took the ball and he shot it with conviction, which is what we opened the show. When he went up to shoot that shot, it looked like he meant for it to go in. There was nothing tentative about that shot.
Well, where I veer away from both of you is that he could have sat there and said, I scratched the play. I'm taking the last shot. He didn't have to be specific about the fact that he was being asked to inbound the basketball. Because anybody who knows basketball, when you hear that there's 1.5 seconds left on the shot clock, in the game clock, and that the world's best player was asked to inbound the basketball. I'm just telling you that to the basketball world, I don't care who you talk to, 99% of the basketball world is going to sit there and go like this. Inbound the basketball?
Okay.
Not the last shot, but inbound the basketball?
Okay, now, my bottom line is David Blatt is in over his head. That's what I believe. But I believe he was sending a message to his whole team is, my guy, my best player, is 9 for 29 in this game. He is 1 for 7 from 3, and he is 2 for 19 from 3 in the 4 games of this series. And I'm going to make him inbound the ball because he doesn't deserve to shoot that. And that's the message I believe Blatt was trying to send to his teammates. I'm the coach here, and my best player, my best scorer, is having a miserable day. He's also my best passer, so I'm going to have him inbound the ball. Just in theory, you could say, okay, except it's LeBron James. And to LeBron's credit, he said,
not so much.
No, I'm not going to stand for that. And it made him mad. You could say it's like some kind of between the lines psychology, because LeBron shot mad. He shot the ball mad, which is, I've always said on the show, I love it when LeBron gets mad. He plays the best when he gets mad at a heckler, at Joakim Noah, whoever it is. I like that LeBron. But I remind you, when LeBron decided to go home, how long did it take, remember this, before he even communicated with David Blatt? It was a month. What does that say? What's going on there? Well, it shows you that LeBron basically said, I don't care who the coach is. I don't even care to know the coach because I'm going to be in charge of this basketball team.
No, that's not what it said. What it said to me was that that's your choice for the coach, ain't mine.
Well,
and that's the difference. Because if it were a coach that LeBron really, really wanted, perhaps his communication would have been a bit different. I assure you, let's say, for example, hypothetically, if Mark Jackson was coaching the Cleveland Cavaliers, I assure you LeBron James would not have contacted them a month later.
Been in touch in about 30 seconds.
There you go. That's the difference. So again, it's about who the coach was.
Okay, but he chose to go home knowing full well who had already been hired.
Yeah, because you're going home. That's a long-term commitment for you and your family. The wife wanted to go. The mama wanted to go back. LeBron checked with the wife and the mama before finally making his decisions. They usurped everybody, and everybody knows that. Yes, his boys matter. That much is true. But his mama and his beautiful wife matter most. And in the end, they made that call first. They gave the vote of approval. So all I'm saying to you is that when you understand it from that perspective, that's a long-term commitment that transcends Blatt.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
Maybe literally, like maybe he won't be back.
The ref said that they didn't notice that Blatt was trying to actually call for a timeout because they knew the Cavs had none left. Let's talk about Deflategate. Although there are several stories speculating on punishment for the Patriots and Tom Brady, NFL sources tell us that no decision has been made as of today. Here's what we do know. A suspension for Brady is certainly possible, and a decision could be made as early as this week. Mike Reese, our Patriots reporter, wrote, "I truly can't believe what the commissioner has done to the legacy and reputation of one of the greatest quarterbacks and ambassadors in the history of the game. All over air pressure in a football, and without definitive proof he had anything to do with it." Ryan Clark, our NFL analyst, tweeted the following last week. "We all were generally aware that the Patriots pushed the rules. We also knew it was more probable than not that they cheat. No news here." Obviously played against the Patriots before. Ryan, let's talk about Tom Brady. Mike Reese is trying to say that he's paying a price for what the Patriots' reputation is. Do you believe that will happen?
I think that plays into it. It definitely does. You talk about a team involved in Spygate, and that was a huge deal. You know, if people feel like they've won Super Bowls through Spygate. I played in Pittsburgh. When you play in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots were always fighting for that AFC championship, always fighting to go to the Super Bowl. And being around a lot of men who never make excuses, I heard them say, man, every play we call, I felt like they knew which play was coming.
Really?
Being against, playing with guys who, I would just say this about him, obviously you're going to know who he is, one of the most unpredictable defensive players to ever play the game, said, man, every time I would blitz, even if it was called, it was like they knew. They had the correct play call for it. And so when you think about things like that, as far as the players and the coaches are concerned, there's definitely a history of cheating that has gone on with the New England Patriots. Now, you look at this situation. I got to practice with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady this fall. And you got to watch them practice. Tom Brady, if there's a 15-yard comeback and you don't run 15 yards, he's on the guys. If the ball's not right, he doesn't have the ball centered where he wants it. If it's not on the right hash when the play's supposed to be there, he's talking to the ball boys. He's getting the equipment managers lined up and where he wants them to go. Bill Belichick wouldn't even go to the offensive field when Tom Brady was over there with the offense running the plays because he had that much control over there, and Bill oversaw everything. So when you look at this situation, quarterbacks who don't win football games, who don't win Super Bowls, have the balls exactly how they want the balls. And if they're not, the equipment managers, the ball boys, they have to fix it. So to think that Tom Brady knew nothing about what was going on with these balls or didn't order them to have them a certain way would be foolish. Now, the punishment, you look at Carolina, they had a situation to where, you know, they had stick 'em on, San Diego had stick 'em on their towels. You know, they were punished. Atlanta Falcons, pumping crowd noise into the stadium. They were punished. They lost a draft pick. They were also fined.
The Vikings and Panthers were heating their balls.
But they were warned, right? They didn't get any.
They got warned.
They got warned. So this situation, when you bring up the report, when Ted Wells becomes involved, when it's such a huge game, when it's such a big deal, and you combine that with what the Patriots have done previously, Tom Brady's definitely going to pay a price for it. He gained a competitive advantage. If you take PEDs, you gain a competitive advantage. Those people missed 4 games. I look for Tom Brady to be suspended for 4 games.
You're saying he deserves it?
I think he does.
Are you also saying that when you pointed out how Bill Belichick was on the other side of the field focusing on the defense, is that your way of saying that Bill Belichick had nothing to do with this?
The report says Bill Belichick.
I know that, but I'm asking you.
No, that wasn't my way of saying that. That was my way of saying Tom Brady truly has control on what's going on.
In other words,
team.
he has control on what's going on with that team, and it could very conceivably have nothing to do with the head coach because he's preoccupied with other things because he trusts that Tom Brady just do what Tom Brady wants to do.
Yes.
Well, that's what I've been saying all along.
That's why you're wrong.
That's what I've been saying, and I'm right because here's the deal. First of all, I believe I was right. Then Ted Wells validated it because what I've been saying, Ryan, is exactly what you were saying about Tom Brady. When this man sat across from me, no, Tom Brady, not the choir boy, not the man with the supermodel wife, not the dude that does nothing wrong. I said, no one touches the football more than he does. He's the quarterback.
He should be suspended for 4 games.
I'm talking about before the Wells report came out.
Okay.
I'm talking about, that's what I'm talking about. When news first broke about the Deflategate, I was like, there's no way he didn't know. When he said, I don't know. I said the press conference was awful. We agreed on that. He was absolutely awful. Wasn't convincing at all. But I've contended that Bill Belichick is preoccupied with too many other things to be wondering about the weight of a football. He's probably told people, do what Tom Brady tells you to do. Whatever he needs you to do, do it. And then be done with it. And he goes about his merry way because he doesn't have to throw the football. His quarterback has to throw the football. He might have done that. But in terms of sitting there going like this, let's lower the pressure of the football. I just find it hard to believe that Bill Belichick is preoccupied with such a thing. Having said all of that, where I veer away and I understand, I defer to football players because I didn't play in the NFL. My whole thing is, air pressure in a football, really, 45-7, you stomped it. It's not about the it's about the intent. The intent. It's the intent. I get all of that. But in the end, I'm just looking at it, and I thought it was much ado about nothing. But all of you guys in the NFL, you feel differently instead of Teddy Bruschi. Teddy Bruschi is like, look, he doesn't believe a word about this about Tom Brady. Not a word about it.
I mean, you're supposed to ride with your guy. It don't work like that on first 48, but I guess you can do it here.
Yeah, I guess you can do it here. I can't do it. I can't. There's no way that Tom Brady did not know. There is no way he does not deserve to be suspended. He definitely deserves about 4 games. But I believe Bill Belichick deserves 0.
Oh, really? 0 games? Well, did you listen to Mr. Clark's opening soliloquy in which he told you that for years and years, Ryan and his Pittsburgh Steelers teammates believed there was a culture of cheating in New England?
Can I answer that?
Am I right?
Yes, he did say that.
Cheating.
Can I answer that?
Yes. Did that come from Tom Brady?
Hugh Douglas used to work here. Hugh Douglas once said to me the thing that drove them crazy, they've never seen a quarterback like a Dan Marino, for example. It didn't matter what call they made. He'd literally Dan Marino would walk up to the line of scrimmage, and he would tell you who's going to do what. He knew everything. And it drove them crazy because he figured, I guess I was under the assumption that the great quarterbacks know so much that they think.
We're not talking about what the quarterback calls at the line of scrimmage. We're talking about knowing what your defensive call is.
Yeah.
The blitz is coming from his teammate in the secondary who's unnamed.
But that's what
we know who you're talking about.
But that's what I just said. In other words, I'm saying that's what they're saying. The great quarterbacks know that. That's what I was told. I don't know.
He's saying pre-snap they're either intercepting the signals or something is happening. Back to Spygate, where they were videotaping the defensive signals during the first half so that they could decipher them at halftime, so they would have a better idea to call it from the press box with binoculars. They could signal down to the offense they're going to blitz, whatever the defense called is. That's a culture. That's a history of cheating. So my point to you is, Tom Brady is going to get punished in part because of the culture that was set up by Bill Belichick. And we're going all the way back to the first Super Bowl that they won, when they were accused post-Super Bowl by the Rams of videotaping the Saturday walkthrough. Remember that? Yes. Now, again, they denied it. I don't know what happened, but the Rams were adamant that they got videotaped, and they said they had evidence. Nothing ever came of it. Then the Panthers were adamant. They got videotaped the night before, the Saturday walkthrough before. Their Super Bowl loss to the Patriots. So there's 2. And again, where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know what came out of nothing came out of either one of them, but both teams are still adamant. Remember, Marty Herney during Super Bowl week talked openly about it on his radio show. He said, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I'm going to go to my grave knowing that they videotaped our workout and gave them a distinct advantage over us in the Super Bowl game the following day. So my point is, you don't think Bill Belichick would know if Tom Brady were deflating footballs? This is a man who rules with the most iron fist of any coach in the National Football League. He knows every detail. No, he has total control of the franchise, top to bottom, from a football perspective.
ESPN Radio.
With the action on the court, the diamond, or the gridiron.
Comes alive.
The NBA.
The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
Major League Baseball.
San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
The new college football playoff.
College football playoff national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Your home for the best in sports play-by-play.
ESPN Radio.
Stephen A., respond to Skip Bayless's point prior to break.
It's not about what you know, it's about what you can prove.
Oh.
And the fact of the matter is, Ted Wells conducted an investigation, and the same investigation that you are leaning on to validate and modify your stance about Tom Brady and whatever suspension he deserves, that same investigation completely exonerated Mr. Kraft, Bill Belichick, and the entire New England Patriots coaching staff. There was no evidence that they had any knowledge of what Tom Brady was probably doing. So based on that, I am in no way trying to imply that Bill Belichick knew nothing, whatever. I'm quite sure he knew something. I'm just of the belief that this man was preoccupied with a whole bunch of other stuff that was going on and left that device to Tom Brady. Now, you bring up Spygate. Let me say this to you. Since Spygate, that very season, it was week 1 or week 2 that the Patriots got busted. They go 18-0 that season after being fined. They go to the Super Bowl, lose to the Giants. You called it luck. They would have been the Super Bowl champions this year. Next season, 11-5. Next season after that, 10-6. Ever since then, they've been at least 12-4 or better. So I'm like, all right, so this happened in 2007. So the 7 years since, all these brothers have been doing is winning. I'm a native New Yorker. I don't like too much about Boston. I'm a New Yorker. I root against all their teams. But I have to give props and respect where it's due. You can sit there and talk that all you want to, but in the end, Bill Belichick shows up year after year after year and finds a way to beat you. And by the way, if you're so mad about it as a coach, why don't you find a way to cheat so you can be as effective, okay? Because whatever the game is the game. And that's the part that we don't mention enough in sports. Brian Clark has a right to be offended by Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and whatever it is that you think they're doing. But if you were Mike Tomlin, I would be like, well, why aren't you doing it? If you were Sean Payton, I'd be like, why aren't you doing it? If you were somebody else, I'd be like, why aren't you doing it? Because whatever the game is within the game,
they're winning.
Everybody plays by their own. They all play by the same rules. Don't think for 1 second that whatever it is you want to incriminate Bill Belichick about, he's the only one doing it. He just finds a way to be better than you. And whatever it is he's doing, that is your problem, not his.
Well, I think the biggest thing is nobody's ever doubting their legacy as being a Hall of Fame coach and a Hall of Fame quarterback. Maybe he's the best quarterback of our time, and you talk about him in the Joe Montanas as being the best quarterback ever. But the fact that they have a culture of cheating is not debatable either. They cheat, and they try, and that's why people who play for New England love Bill Belichick. And they don't love him as a person. I've had guys say, man, you know, you walk around the halls and you're scared to look up. That's because he does have so much control over everything. But in the end, we're not talking about their legacy. And in this situation, I agree with you. Bill Belichick, due to the report, should not be punished. But to say that he didn't know about it, that would be crazy. Now, he may have went down and said, hey, you know what? Tom wants his balls a certain way. Make sure his balls are a certain way. And because of the culture of cheating, or the culture of bending, but because of the culture of bending the rules, I'm sure he didn't say, and you guys make sure they're within the limits of the pressure.
That's right.
But you can't punish him based off of what we think and what type of person we know he is.
Now, when the report exonerates him.
I agree.
First thing, I got to test my microphone. Is
No,
it working?
I think everything's working.
Is it working?
I think it's working.
Yours is out for a bit.
Because-
Now we're all back in.
I think it's working.
Because he had sabotaged my
Right.
microphone in the last segment.
Because you
Because
were
we
winning.
knew I had it.
Because you were
I had it
winning.
dead to
You were
right.
winning. You were
I was
done.
running over.
Do that. That only
Yeah.
happens to you usually when you're talking basketball because the world knows you shouldn't be allowed to.
okay.
But go ahead.
Have you ever thought that maybe Bill Belichick was just a little slicker during the investigation than Tom Brady was? Tom Brady's one of those guys who just says, I don't think I was cheating, you know. Belichick avoided the Ted Wells investigation because he's a little more, if I may use this word, devious than Tom Brady. That's just me. That's just me. I'm sorry. In the end, he has to be punished at least as harshly as Tom Brady is.
Why?
Because Tom Brady is going to be punished more harshly because of Bill Belichick's cheating in the past, for which he was caught dead to rights during Spygate.
Well, wait a
Okay.
minute. Tom Brady, didn't he benefit from that? Yes, he did.
Okay.
So
But who's the head coach?
No. What I'm saying to you is this: if you want to tell me that the man is at the helm and he's therefore is culpable, okay, that's fine. I understand that.
Okay.
But don't tell me that he should be dealt with because of this particular scandal because he was wrong too when there's no evidence to prove that.
Okay.
In the end, what it comes down to is Bill Belichick, you call him devious, you call him slick, whatever the case may be. I'm sorry, you play in the NFL. When guys leave the New England Patriots, do you hear them complaining about the culture at the New England Patriots? No, I don't.
They don't.
I don't hear them. I don't hear former players going over about. They have no problem with it. They actually like playing there. So I mean, you would think that if there's this culture of cheating, then they would be associated with cheating, or they dime Bill Belichick out. I don't hear any of that
Because
going
they
on.
like winning.
That's right.
They like
That's
winning.
right.
So
He finds a way to be better.
Right. Okay, so some people are saying that Brady will be punished because he did not fully cooperate and he lied to the Wells investigation. And Brady is saying, no, I did, through his lawyer so far.
Yes.
I did cooperate, and I'm telling the absolute truth. I knew nothing.
You know what?
Okay?
You know, this, you have to understand that your statement is so ridiculous to me, especially with Ryan Clark right here in front of your face. Because if the two of you, I know would do this more so than most other people. Somebody accuses you of lying, of cheating, of questioning your character and your personal integrity. And your lawyer and your daddy speaks for you, but you don't?
How do you know
Really?
that as we speak, he's not speaking straight to the commissioner with his lawyers at his side?
Wait a minute. I'm talking about this. Listen, it's relevant because of public perception. The masses believe that your character has been impugned. You sat there and said, I've only had 30 hours to digest this. I don't care if it's 30 minutes. What do you need to know? If you know that you are not a cheater and you know that you are not a liar, how is your daddy speaking up ahead of you, for you? How is your coach?
Now, just remember how we used to kill RG3 because his daddy spoke.
Right. Wait a minute. But he would speak for himself too now. Sometimes he talked too much.
Yeah.
And he got himself in trouble.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady, what do you guys think? What do you what you guys think?
I saw the video. He's still smiling because he still got 4 rings.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll have to do it for us. All of our microphones are up and ready working. Ryan Clark, always a pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Here comes Pierce with 5 seconds left. Pierce with 3. Pierce with 2. Pierce fall away at the horn. It's gone! Paul Pierce does it again! And the Wizards win it 103-101. How's that for a finish?
Did you call Bang? I called Gang.
Did you call bank? I called gang. All right, so obviously Paul Pierce dropping the mic after that. They currently lead the series against the Hawks. And it doesn't look as if the Hawks are going to be able to make it out of the Stephen A. But let me ask you about Paul Pierce. Does this make the Wizards a legitimate title threat?
No, it does not. Paul Pierce is the truth. It's the truth and a half. He's no joke. He's a closer. We understand that, and he's a champion. You know why he's there. You know why he's there.
That's why they brought him.
That's why they brought him. That's why they brought him there. But here's the thing. This series is not over. Atlanta could very well win tonight. Washington's got to keep their guards up. If John Wall were healthy, there's no question in my mind Washington has this series. They beat Atlanta no matter what. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they could very well go to the finals because they could beat this Cleveland team without Love, with an injured Kyrie Irving. The Washington Wizards are equipped to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron, especially with Paul Pierce trying to close like he always does and the way he loves going up against LeBron. The problem is that the absence of John Wall leaves an incredible hole because John Wall has improved tremendously as a point guard. His athleticism is off the charts. His speed is off the charts. And he plays on both ends of the floor. He's a problem. He was a problem for Kyle Lowry. He was a problem for Jeff Teague in Game 1. John Wall can do some special things. And without him, he's their floor general and their catalyst. They are a different team with him. They played incredibly hard in game 3 without him, and they're to be commended for that. They're going to have their work cut out for them tonight as well because I don't think Atlanta is going to go away that easily. But even if they were to win this series against Atlanta, I don't consider them a legitimate title threat unless John Wall can play. And with those 5 fractures in his hand and his wrist, I don't know if he's going to be back. And even if he's come back, he's going to be limited in what he can do. I just don't know. I really, really don't.
So if he does not play tonight, you think Atlanta wins on a away game?
I think that's Atlanta's chance to win the series. I don't think anybody could go down 3-1. This is not the 76ers against Larry Bird, McHale, and the Boston Celtics. Yeah. Atlanta's not that type of team that can come back from a 3-1 deficit. I don't believe they will. So they have to win tonight in order to win this series.
Yep. Earlier in the show, I called the Derrick Rose shot lucky because I think he called it lucky. I know his teammates called it lucky. I have so much respect for Paul Pierce as a clutch closer, clutch shooter, that he might have called bank on that shot. I'm not sure that was a lucky shot. Even though it went off the glass, he had to extend a little bit. He can't jump very well, but to get it up over 2 hands, maybe he needed to bank it in. He called game maybe because he decided at the last second, I got to arc this a little bit and bank it in. There's nobody better at closing a basketball game than this guy. And I love to listen to Doc Rivers talk about him because he just knows how to play. Doesn't look great, doesn't look the best, doesn't look like he's in the best shape, but man, he just plays.
He knows how to play, and he's a winner. He's a winner, and he challenged Bradley Beal and John Wall before the playoffs began. Do you want to be good or do you want to be great? Here's what it's going to require. He's a veteran leader. You look at his line, 5 of 12 shoot from the field, 3 of 7 from three-point range, just 12 points, 13 points and 7 rebounds. That's not how you measure Paul Pierce. You measure Paul Pierce by what you see Beal and a Wall giving you. You measure Paul Pierce about how Nene finally showed up and did something, finishing with 17-7 after being absent the first 2 games, because you know Paul Pierce has something to say about him. You judge Paul Pierce about what happens when it's time to close. It was Paul Pierce that grabbed the ball, and before he turned around, he yelled, "Get out!" Like, get out of here to Beal him. Get away. I got this. That's what you do when you are a winner. And this is who Paul Pierce is, and has proven himself to be.
He set the tone before that first playoff series against Toronto by saying the Raptors don't have it, and it got under their skin, it got in their heads, and they didn't have it.
I will say this to you. Are you ready for this, Skip? As crazy as this may sound, I'm not veering too far off the subject.
Maybe.
But if Kevin Garnett had joined Pierce and gone to D.C.,
it would have been nice.
They'd be a title contender then. Let me tell you why. Because you're going to have somebody that can defend, who's long, who understands how to play the game. And Marcin Gortat and Nene, with their periodical or sporadic play.
If Wall's healthy.
If Wall was healthy, they'd be more consistent.
That because you might be making a commentary on Darren Williams, but I'm just throwing that out.
Yes, because I'm just telling you that those guys are leaders in a locker room. And when I see Paul Pierce, I did find myself wishing that Kevin Garnett was right there in that locker room with him. I really did.
Last quick thought on the Atlanta Hawks. For whatever reason, they have not been the same since they lost Cephalosha to that whatever incident that occurred in the middle of the night in New York City. And I don't know if it hurt their psyche. It obviously, he wasn't a huge loss just as a player, though he's a great defender. But they have not looked the same to me, which is why I think they are really teetering tonight, because with Paul Pierce maybe leading the way again, I don't know. I think Washington at home, they could really put them in a hole.
Yeah, I think Washington is going to win tonight.
I do too.
All right, so Wizards Hawks, game 4 tonight in D.C., 7 o'clock. Also, Wizards head coach says John Wall's hand is moving in the right direction. The swelling isn't there, but no timetable as to when he is going to return. Yesterday, LeBron made his 3rd career playoff game-winning buzzer beater, matching the number of playoff buzzer beaters Michael Jordan posted in his career, FYI. This shot, though, let's rank it, Stephen A. Where does it rank among LeBron's big shots, if you will?
I haven't really thought about it. I would say off the top of my head, it would be number 2 on the list. That game, whether it's game 6 or 7, when in the finals, when he hit a big time 3, he had missed one, but then he had made another. Because ultimately you're going to lose the finals to the San Antonio Spurs if he doesn't make one of those 3s. I think those were big moments in the clutch games. But yesterday, obviously may have been the biggest one. I don't count the one against Orlando nearly as much as everybody else because that was a game, but they ultimately lost that series. They underachieved throughout that series. That was you winning a game after you had lost game 1, and you had to make sure you didn't lose game 2. And Dwight Howard was there in Orlando with Pietrus and Jameer Nelson and Turkoglu, and those boys were just hitting 3s from all over the place. But yesterday, to me, won this series for Cleveland. So I would have to put it right there with one of those 3s he made in the finals against San Antonio a couple of years back.
I don't know where to rank it yet. I need to see if they do go ahead and close this deal because, as you point out, LeBron has had a history of making these shots as he did at the end of Game 2 against Orlando back in 2009, and they went right down to Orlando and lost the next 2 games after the shot heard around the world that we talked about for seemed like 48 straight hours on ESPN. Then they lost the next 2, and they lost that series in 6. And then the other buzzer beater was just that left-handed layup he shot against Indiana in the first round, or it wasn't the first round, but in the 2013 playoffs, game 1 is what I was trying to say. And Hibbert wasn't in the game, remember that?
Yep.
Okay. And then from that point, it took 7 games to eliminate the Indiana Pacers, and then it went to the finals you speak of, the 2013 ill-fated finals for me. And LeBron actually missed the 3. I understand what you mean. He made one,
yes,
but he missed the next one with 8 seconds left. That should have been the end of the series for them. And what happened? Chris Bosh somehow got the rebound because Tim Duncan wasn't in the game at that point, and then he kicked it into the corner. Perfect pass right on rhythm, and Ray Allen went straight up. Make sure he got his feet behind the three-point line.
Right, you sure?
And boom. And again, I thought LeBron made a huge shot late in Game 7 against had their hearts ripped out San Antonio Spurs, but remember he made a big jump shot. Remember Popovich is over there saying back off him, just let him shoot those jump shots, and he made one over Kawhi that put them up 4 late in that game. Remember it was, so that was a big shot to me. I thought LeBron's free throws that he made against Oklahoma City in that turning point game 2, remember that?
Throws, yep.
Yeah, big free throws. So I need to see, but I'm with you. This was a shot that he shot with the most conviction of any shot I've ever seen him shoot, and it did turn the series if they can, in fact, handle their business.
If they close the deal against Chicago, we will remember.
Yeah. I mean, you could look at it as the shot of the whole playoffs.
All right, and Stephen, as we close, let me get your picks again for the night. Are we saying Wizards Warriors as your winners?
Yes, we are.
You're going Warriors too.
They have to. If they will lose this series if they don't win this game.
Okay. I'll go Wizards Warriors also for sure.
You guys are on the same page with that?
Yeah.
All right. Stephen A., you're not going to any game, so they don't really matter. So we don't have to talk about them tomorrow.
Well, I mean, they matter. They matter. It just matters more when I roll in the house. That's all. But they matter no matter what.
Okay.
It's just that it's special when I arrive.
Because
I ain't wasting time for scrub games. I don't have time for that.
10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. The forever humble Stephen A. Very humble Skip Bayless.
That's
not
debatable.
so much. That's also debatable. See you tomorrow. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can catch First Take Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN2.